5%, a much bigger, important player, if you will. Good on you, Luce. Good to see you. Let's get more because Dr. Shirley Yu is a senior fellow at the London School, or a visiting senior fellow at the London School of Economics, and joins us. And a familiar face, Shirley. Good to see you. Am I right? You know, these markets. Let's briefly get that out of the way. It was a knee-jerk reaction, a shock because they've just started trading today.
Oh, absolutely, Aaron. It's simply Chinese market playing catch-up because this is, the first trading day after the Chinese New Year, which coincides with this all-out outbreak of the coronavirus crisis. And so it's simply we're trying to say, this response, natural market response to the coronavirus crisis now in China. But I must say, though, we actually ended the day better than when we started.
Which is a good sign. Can I ask you this, though, because we saw Beijing, the government, react pretty quickly today in terms of injecting billions. What was the total?
174 billion US dollars.
174 billion injected into its economy in the banking sector. They cut the interest rate on short-term loans. So good stimulus, if you will, or a buffer to try to prevent any more damage, if you will. But the important question is, does that money, the injection, flow into the general economy?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a massive gesture, $174 billion of liquidity injection into the market today. And I would say the bulk of it is actually to roll over existing arrangements. $22 billion out of this is actually the net liquidity injection, but still, nonetheless, that's massive. And I think for central bank, if you remember, back in 2015, China actually had a stock market bust, and over that period of time, the central bank has cut 6 straight rounds of interest rate until 2017-ish. We started to see this real estate speculation.
Does it go to the people who need it, especially the small and medium-sized businesses in China?
I think that the flow of the injection of the cash is very, very important. Does it go to the large state-owned enterprises? Does it go to small and medium-sized companies? A lot of small and medium-sized companies in China now are so afraid. They say that our cash flow only can sustain us for 2 to 3 months' time if businesses don't open. And the other hand is if the money goes into the banks, do the banks continue what they did for the past decade to flow the money into the real estate development sector? And also the corporates, do they actually hold the cash as cash, or do they use it for capital reinvestment? So there are a lot of big ifs in terms of the flow of capital rather than the injection.
Let's talk about the global supply chain. As I was mentioning to Lucy, air freight out of China is down 50%. Apple has nearly 300 of its suppliers out of 800 based in China. We're hearing a German car manufacturer is shutting shop because he can't get the material out of China. It has a huge global impact that we could all feel and see.
Oh, yes. Well, retail sectors are going to be the hardest hit, no doubt. And we have been covering for the past week. McDonald's, Starbucks have all shut their stores, with a certain percentage. And IKEA has shut all its stores all over China. Apple has shut all its stores till February the 9th. And now we're looking at the movie industry. Last year, New Year's time, movie industry grossed nearly $1 billion US dollars. This year, zero. Or looking at tourism industry, anywhere from the Forbidden City to Disneyland, all shut down. And we're looking at transportation, correctly, like what you said, the transportation volume. This is the largest human migration on Earth. This year's transportation volume is nearly 40% of last year's. And so luxury goods, all in a stall. What's the point of buying a pair of smart socks if you can't get out of the house?
You can't wear them. Yeah, no, absolutely. I've got to wrap it up. You know, time is short, but we appreciate your time. Thanks very much, Dr. Shirley Yu, taking us through that. No doubt we'll speak again, Shirley. Let's just touch on some of the other stories making headline news. The Japanese car giant Toyota and the electronics firm Panasonic have agreed to set up a joint venture specializing in electric vehicle batteries. Yeah, the new company will develop batteries that will be available to any car maker, not just limited to Toyotas. Hey, a new study has found that 8.6 million people claimed sick days last year in the UK because they thought their jobs were, quote, too painful. Oh, come on. The report claims concerns about work culture, colleagues and workloads were to blame. OK, let's get more on Brexit now because British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says there is no need for Britain to follow any of the EU's rules in a future trade deal. The UK has just 11 months, as you know, to agree a new trading relationship with the world's biggest economic bloc. Mr Johnson said the UK should have a similar